So chat, some of you guys may remember fairly recently, I did a topic on my channel talking about the Red Ranger and his controversial merch idea. If you guys don't remember, obviously you can check out my channel. There's a video that I did on it. But the guy who plays the Red Ranger, Austin St. Jones, basically like he put out like this. He talked about wanting to do merch that he called his Warriors line of merch, and it was supposed to have like inspirational quotes from like noteworthy figures in history. But he also said that it was going to contain quotes from like bad people, and he specifically mentioned Hitler, saying something along the lines of like, yeah, Hitler was a bad dude, but he had some good one-liners or some shit like that. So obviously, a lot of people on the internet were kind of like, what the fuck when it came to that. But I happened to notice that there was some other news that came out about the Blue Ranger, and how apparently they face like a lot of homophobic bullying on the set of Power Rangers, and they've come forward and kind of talked about that, which is interesting. So I thought we'd go into this article and kind of give our thoughts on it. It says, this is with Pink News. It says, this Power Ranger faced homophobic bullying on set. Now he's an anti-conversion therapy campaigner. And so let's go ahead and let's dive into this, and let's see what we got here. Many fans of the iconic 90s kid show Power Rangers may be unaware that David Yost, who played the original Blue Ranger, is both gay and a survivor of conversion therapy. Yost, who played Billy Cranston in the hit children's show, has spoken publicly in the past about his grim ordeal, which also included alleged bullying on set. That's crazy, right? Because like, anytime you've ever seen, like, maybe it was a convention appearance where like all the Rangers got together, everything seems super cordial amongst all of them and stuff like that. And like you look back at these shows that you grew up with and you think very fondly of them, but you really don't think about like the kind of stuff that happens behind the scenes, right? And this is just one of those things. It's really unfortunate. His statement about conversion therapy crop up regularly in social media as part of ongoing backlash against the barbaric practice broadly defined as efforts to change a person's sexual orientation or gender identity. So this is a tweet from them back in November of 2020 in response to Lambda Legal tweeting, breaking, the 11th Circuit just ruled that banning conversion therapy violates the First Amendment. The two judges in the 2-1 majority were both appointed by Donald Trump, to which David Yost tweeted, the end result of conversion therapy for me were numerous thoughts of suicide, a nervous breakdown, 5 weeks in a hospital, and years of trying to mend my mental health while operating out of survival mode. Psychologically destroying and torturing people is not a First Amendment right. And, there's a lot of people who will talk about conversion therapy when it comes to, people who are gay or bi or trans or, pretty much anybody who's a member of the LGBTQ community. And, a lot of people will talk about like, well, what about like conversion therapy? And the thing is, conversion therapy doesn't work. All conversion therapy does is cause significant trauma and mental health issues down the line. We see elevated levels of, suicidality in those kinds of people, other mental health problems down the line. And then like, if somebody goes through like conversion therapy, oftentimes they end up just going exactly back to the way they were, which was fine to begin with in the first place, right? So this theory that like we need to give conversion therapy to like people who are gay or trans or anything like that, like it's just not true. It doesn't fucking work. And I gotta be honest, if you're someone who is claims to be a loved one of someone who is gay or bi or trans or whatever, affiliation with the LGBT community they have, if you claim to love someone and your suggestion for a fix for their issue is to send them to conversion therapy, you don't actually care about that person at all, because you're asking them to change something about themselves that is a part of themselves and their identity. And I'm sorry, but if you actually love and care about someone, you don't send them through that. In 2018, he opened up about his experiences in a no-holds-barred interview with Entertainment Weekly. He described how he was harassed on the Power Rangers set by some crew members because he was gay, and said that this was one of the catalysts that drove him to enter conversion therapy after leaving the show in 1996. So he was bullied so much on the set that he chose himself to go to conversion therapy. That is so unfortunate that he had to go through that. I put myself through conversion therapy because I didn't want to be gay, and I really struggled with it, he told Entertainment Weekly. And in another interview with Australian Magazine out in Perth, he said, well, the conversion therapy I had done that quite religiously for 2 years unfortunately caused a nervous breakdown because I was actively working against the truth of who I was, and mentally I couldn't take it anymore. After my nervous breakdown, it took me years to be comfortable and really be open about myself. It wasn't an overnight process, and it took a long time to be happy and comfortable. And yeah, if you ever hear about anybody tell their story of them being either forced into conversion therapy or them, voluntarily going into conversion therapy, this is what happens, right? They are either being told by someone who's sending them to conversion therapy that the way that they're living their life is wrong and they need to change that, or they're being convinced by other people that the way they live their life is wrong. And so they're convinced that they need to change and they go to this conversion therapy shit. And as a result of that, they end up with years and years of psychological trauma because of it. Because at the end of the day, if you're gay or you're trans or whatever, that's fine. No one should be telling you to be something that you're not, However, he says he's happy that he's now come to terms with his sexuality and gets a lot of mail from the LGBTQ plus fans who say he's helped them by being so open about his experience. I get letters every day via social media from people who tell me, thank you so much for coming out. You've given me the courage to come out. Thank you for sharing your story. Those things have happened to me, and you've given me the confidence to stand up to people who are doing things to me at my job and in my life. It's all a reward for me on so many levels because I know that I've helped other people to find the strength within themselves to speak up and talk. I'm glad the Me Too movement has happened for women. It was long overdue. My story is similar to some of what they had to go through. I'm glad these things are coming about because hopefully it's only going to make the world a better and more accepting place. So good for him, honestly. But yeah, it's kind of unfortunate, as somebody who did enjoy, watching the show when I was, younger. As a kid, I used to watch the Power Rangers. It's kind of sad when you find out a detail like this about a show that you used to enjoy so much. And it's also, really unfortunate, obviously, that he had to go through that. But good for him for using his platform to kind of speak out against these things. And again, as I said before, if you are a relative or a friend or something like that of someone who is LGBT and your answer to them is that they need to go to conversion therapy, I'm sorry, you really don't care about that person because you are setting them up for years and years of trauma if you actually convince them or force them to go through with that. So I think that's something that a lot of people who are in favor of conversion therapy don't really think about when they choose to force someone to go to that or try to convince someone to go to that, because it doesn't help anyone and there's nothing that needs to be helped. If you're a member of the LGBT community, you're fine. There's nothing wrong with you that needs to be fixed.
Play that shit! Hipsters